You guys know I always say the only thing that's consistent about Disney World restaurants is that they're inconsistent. That's right, change is constant. And that's especially true when you're talking about restaurants and food. Dining in Disney World has changed a lot over the years, and today we're looking at some of the biggest changes we've ever seen. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. Over the years, Disney World has changed how we get our food, who serves it, and where it comes from. And if you haven't been to Disney in the past 10 years, you may be surprised at what you can and can't get in the parks nowadays. Since we are Disney Food Blog, we wanted to take a look back at some of the biggest, most monumental changes Disney's made to how we eat while on vacation in the most magical place on Earth. One of the biggest changes we've seen is that switch to fast casual. When Be Our Guest first opened in Magic Kingdom in 2012, it brought some innovative new technology with it and the introduction of fast casual dining in Disney World. For breakfast and lunch, this restaurant was a quick service restaurant in the traditional sense. This means you order your food at a counter and pick it up, take it to your table, fast food basically, instead of a full sit-down or table service meal where a server takes your order and brings it to your table. But at Be Our Guest, you would order your food at a touchscreen podium, receive a plastic rose, and then head to your table where your food would be brought to you, kind of a hybrid between traditional quick service or fast food and table service. That plastic rose contains an RFID chip that lets a server locate you in the dining room and bring your meal to you. That meal is also served on real plates with real silverware instead of the paper plates that were used at Disney World's other fast food restaurants. Unfortunately, Be Our Guest is only serving a prefix meal at lunch and dinner right now instead of the a la carte menus we've seen in the past, but you can still find this fast casual style at a few other restaurants around Disney World. ABC Commissary in Hollywood Studios gives you a tracking device after you order your food, and your food is delivered right to your table. No juggling kids, all your bags, and your lunch. Over in Disney Springs, you'll find a similar hybrid service at Polite Pig, where you place an order at a counter and then receive an RFID tracker. Once you're seated, you can ask a server for refills or place an order for more food without heading up to the counter again. So we're definitely seeing this hybrid start to become much more popular at fast food locations in Disney World. We've also seen Disney become much more humane and eco-friendly. Yep, Disney's been making big strides to become more environmentally friendly and sustainably conscious as a company. It's one of the things they're doing better than ever. They've completely switched over to paper straws, gotten rid of a lot of single-use plastics around the resort. That might mean you want to pack a reusable straw if you're not a fan of paper straws, by the way. But a few places do have those sugar or cellulose straws that don't break down so quickly, but eco-friendly straws have a tendency to fall apart in slushy or iced beverages. So bring a metal or silicone straw and you won't have to worry about that. There are also more compostable items showing up in the parks and resorts, like compostable silverware, which is close enough to plasticware that it shouldn't affect your dining experience too much, though you can still bring your own set of reusable silverware if you prefer, and they even are starting to sell it around Disney World in their merchandise locations. We've also seen compost bins popping up as well to help divert more waste from landfills. Disney also has sustainability in mind when they're choosing which items are served in their restaurants. Disney's partnered with the Monterey Bay Aquarium, follows the Seafood Watch Guide the aquarium has created to help select only sustainably farmed and harvested seafood to prevent overfishing and promote better resource management. They've also committed to using only cage-free eggs in their U.S. theme parks and on the Disney Cruise Line. All right, let's talk about mobile order. Since 2017, ordering your food at Disney World has gotten a major upgrade. Mobile order was first introduced, and you could pay by credit card and skip the line when ordering meals from select fast food restaurants using the My Disney Experience app. This was a hot tip that hardly anyone knew about or used for years. Later, Disney added the Disney Dining Plan integration so you could exchange your dining credits right in the app for meals and snacks when you mobile order. And starting in March 2020, Disney added more payment options, making mobile order easier to use for more people, like Apple Pay, a Disney gift card, or a Disney Rewards card can all be used to pay for your mobile order now. After the parks reopened in July 2020, Disney made more of an effort to publicize and promote mobile order. They almost demanded you use mobile order as a way to avoid touch points and help manage crowds and capacity limits at restaurants. They've added more restaurants to the mobile order system. Now you'll even find some smaller kiosks like Sleepy Hollow are available to pre-order your food. And since Disney was basically requiring guests to pre-order and mobile order their food, our secret tip was no longer secret, and it actually started to cause a little bit of a problem when so many people were trying to mobile order at the same time. Now, you'll want to order from popular quick service restaurants early in the day, meaning go ahead and lock in your pickup time for your food early in the day. If you want to eat right at noon, you're going to have to lock in that time around 9 a.m. probably. We've seen all the lunch pickup windows fill up by mid-morning at some restaurants, and you don't want to be stuck with a hungry family and a 2-hour wait to get your food. Disney's even added some table service restaurants to mobile order. You can order full meals to go from restaurants like Sanaa and The Wave. You can check out all the restaurants that currently offer mobile order over at DisneyFoodblog.com. Also, make sure to set up your payment method before your trip, so all you need to do is choose your meals when you're ready to order. You'll also be able to see allergy menus and see information about other special diets in the mobile order menus. If you have any special requests or questions, you can talk to a cast member at the restaurant. And of course, you can still pay with cash. You don't have to use mobile order. If you need to pay with cash, you'll want to talk to a cast member outside, and they will allow you in the restaurant to go ahead and order at a regular kiosk. Now, as the COVID rules start to be loosened, we may see Disney go back to the order at the kiosk concept, but right now, as I'm recording this, you basically have to mobile order just about everywhere. All right, now let's talk about plant-based dining. This has exploded in Disney World recently. In addition to those allergy menus, you'll also find plant-based options available at every single restaurant in Disney World, and things are clearly labeled. Vegetarian and vegan dishes will be marked with a little leaf logo, and each restaurant's allergy menu will show which dishes are suitable for which diets. This is available at every single restaurant, table service and fast food, so no matter what special dietary needs you have, you'll be able to find something to eat at any Disney restaurant. And unlike years past, this will be easy for you to figure out. Before, you would have to talk to a cast member when you arrived, and they'd let the chef know, and someone with a special diet was there. They'd come out, they'd go through the menu with you, find something you could eat, or walk you down the buffet to show you which items were safe to eat. At those counter service locations, you would have to ask to see the notebook, which you might still have to do, but Disney's getting a lot better at showing the ingredients, showing what's allergy friendly, and making sure you are informed so that you can make the right choices for you and your family. Now, whether you're keto, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, paleo, allergies to soy, fish, anything, Disney will take care of you. We've created a cheat sheet of some tips for our favorite restaurants when dining with special concerns and what to do if you have more specific questions. Head to DisneyFoodblog.com/special diets cheat sheet to get a free info sheet sent right to your inbox. All right, the next big change we're seeing is that Disney's a little less risk-averse when it comes to food, but it's not really working. So Disney isn't in the business of creating dishes no one's going to buy, so exotic items are few and far between. But that isn't to say Disney hasn't taken a risk or two over the years. There are still a few holdouts like Tiffin's, Boma, Sanaa. At these restaurants, you'll find more exotic flavors, surprising dishes like a whole fried fish. And yeah, a lot of people didn't expect to see that on a theme park menu, but you'll still find safe food, quote unquote, on every menu. Most menus are entirely beef, chicken, pasta, and a less ambitious seafood option than a whole fish. Now, we've seen Disney taking fewer risks over the years in some restaurants and taking more risks over the years in some of the newer restaurants, but the menus are still pretty homogenous across the board. You're going to find popping pearls topping lots of drinks and dishes at restaurants across the parks, and if you do see a more interesting or unique dish, order it now because it might not be there in a few months. Disney doesn't tend to keep things on the menu that don't sell. And restaurants that have previously been more out of the box, like Spice Road Table and Epcot's Morocco Pavilion, have had things toned down a little bit. Last year, Disney took over operations of the restaurant and switched to a more accessible menu that focused on small plates rather than larger portions of dishes with more unique spices. Back in the day, even the ESPN Club on Disney's Boardwalk tried to push the envelope a little bit. You guys might remember me talking about that peanut butter and jelly and jalapeno burger they had on the menu. Now, this restaurant is very much standard bar food, stuff you'll find at a Chili's or Applebee's, and it's no longer very exciting. Another big change you're starting to see in Disney World is the looks great but doesn't taste great change. Yeah, Disney's all about snacks that look good right now. It's all about those Instagram trends and the photo. Now, when I first started covering Disney food back in 2009, Instagram didn't exist. Twitter barely existed. Facebook had been around for a while, but it was just coming out of that, college-only phase. So, with very few people even having a smartphone, nobody taking pictures of their food, and social media pretty much non-existent, Disney didn't really have to care that much about what their food kind of looked like. Well, these days, it's completely different. You're gonna see colorful, super decorated desserts with edible glitter, popping pearls, crispy pearls. They're gorgeous, but they may not taste gorgeous. Every once in a while, we find a dessert that looks as good as it tastes, but we've also had many that didn't. Valuing presentation over taste isn't hurting Disney's bottom dollar. They're selling a lot of these snacks and they keep making more. You're likely not going to see many boring looking desserts. Everything's going to be themed and topped with at least sprinkles or a white chocolate piece with a character printed on it. They even added frozen characters on white chocolate pieces to the top of school bread to give it a little extra flair and also, sell that IP. Luckily, you don't need to get stuck with a gross cupcake because we review them all and we give you an honest look at what it tastes like and who's going to like it. So keep an eye on Disney Food Blog, sign up for that newsletter. We got the link down in the description. If you're not already on our newsletter, we literally review every single new food item in Disney World. It's on there. We review it, we buy it, we show it to you, and we tell you what it's all about. You know our mantra, there is no good or bad food in Disney World. It just depends on who it's for. And that's what we try to tell you. We explain what you're going to get and who's going to like this. So join that newsletter, stay up to date on the new food in Disney World so that you're not stuck buying something that looks great but doesn't necessarily taste great. All right, the next big change we've seen in Disney World food over the past, 10, 15 years is that third-party Influx. Disney spent a few years flip-flopping on what Disney World's Downtown Disney would look like after a major transformation and the closure of Disney-run restaurants and nightclubs. Things looked pretty bleak in 2015 when Disney Springs was announced, and few people believed Disney could really create this wonderful shopping and dining district that was advertised. But we were proven wrong, and Disney Springs is now basically a fifth gate that is as much of a destination as the theme park sometimes. So how'd they do it? Well, they incorporated a lot more non-Disney owned and operated restaurants and stores. Few restaurants in Disney Springs are actually run by Disney. Instead, you'll find restaurants from celebrity chefs and successful chains like Splitsville, CityWorks, Blaze Pizza, and Sprinkles. Allowing more third-party restaurants into Disney allowed them to focus on other things and let the number of restaurants in Disney Springs be limited only by the amount of space and companies willing to rent the buildings. Several restaurants in the parks aren't owned or operated by Disney either at this point, including the eternally coming soon Space 220 in Epcot. This one is kind of surprising since it's going to be a highly themed and interactive restaurant that makes diners feel like they're eating on the space station. So we're kind of shocked that Disney wouldn't want a little more control over that, but they've outsourced it. And outsourcing some of the operation of these restaurants means that Disney can focus on their efforts elsewhere in Epcot, which is undergoing a major expansion. They're also focused on that Star Wars hotel. They were building Galaxy's Edge. All of these major things are changing, so Disney is basically outsourcing the restaurant beat a lot more often. Another big change in Disney World food the past few years, more options. Yep, Disney hasn't just been focusing on park expansions. They have opened restaurants, lots of them. Food in Disney World has come a long way since the resort opened in 1971. Back then, there were only around 20 restaurants and snack kiosks between Magic Kingdom and the two opening day hotels, the Polynesian Village Resort and the Contemporary Resort. Now there are over 400 dining options around Disney World, and most of them that are in the parks and the resorts are run by Disney, even though most of Disney Springs is outsourced at this point. Land expansions and new hotels have brought even more restaurants to Disney World over the years, many of which are incredibly popular and borderline iconic already. New Fantasyland in Magic Kingdom brought Be Our Guest in 2012. Pandora opening brought Satuli Canteen and the Pongu Pongu kiosk. And shortly before the new Animal Kingdom land opened, Tiffin's and Nomad Lounge opened outside the entrance to the land, giving the park its first fine dining restaurant in 2016. Over the past few years, Disney opened Grandestino Tower at Coronado Springs Resort. That meant 3 new lounges, a new table service restaurant, Toledo. And Disney's newest hotel, Riviera Resort, brought a new character meal with Mickey at Topolino's Terrace, along with quick service restaurants and a great pool bar. New restaurants are opening all the time, whether they're Disney owned or not, and we have a lot more options than we had just 10 years ago. All right, another huge change in Disney World food, of course, alcohol in the Magic Kingdom. In 2012, Be Our Guest brought another big shake up to the Magic Kingdom food scene. This uber popular restaurant wasn't suddenly just the hottest reservation in Disney World, it was also breaking decades-old rules. It was the first restaurant in Magic Kingdom to serve alcohol. Magic Kingdom, like Disneyland, had always been a dry park. Now you can get beer and wine at all table service restaurants in the park. You'll need to finish your drink in the restaurant, no taking that beer out into the park, but this was a major change that was a long time coming. Over in Disneyland, alcohol had been available at the exclusive Club 33, but when Galaxy's Edge opened, Oga's Cantina served alcohol as well. And with the parks reopened, Blue Bayou in Disneyland now serves beer, wine, and a hurricane cocktail. Just like in Magic Kingdom, you do need to finish your drink in the restaurant, though. And the last huge change we definitely want to talk about from the past few years, the dining plan, introduced in 2005. This is probably the biggest change to Disney World food over the past 20 years. Pre-2005, the idea of prepaying for your food at Disney World was very, very rare and just relegated to a couple of maybe dining gift cards and random partial dining plan things that were offered to just a few guests. But now you can't think of planning a trip without at least thinking about adding the Disney dining plan. Currently, the DDP is still on pause, but it's near certain Disney will bring it back in the future, we're thinking. Now, the dining plan has changed over the years. That first plan was an amazing deal with a lot of food. It cost about $35 per adult, $10 per kid per day, and including a quick service meal, table service meal, and snack each day, along with a refillable mug to use during your trip. You'd also get appetizers with your meal, which you don't get now, and your gratuity was included in the prepay price. That is an excellent deal. The last time the dining plan was offered, you were going to spend around $75 per adult per day and $30 per kid per day. Yeah, it's a 15-year difference, but that's a pretty big increase. I know a lot of you are asking about when the dining plan is going to come back, and honestly, we just don't know. If you're staying at some of Disney's Good Neighbor hotels and you book directly through Disney, you can add on a prepaid dining card now that you can use at select quick service restaurants around the parks and resorts. But that's not the same as the dining plan, and it's at non-Disney hotels, whereas the Disney dining plan is only available at Disney-owned hotels. But if you like the simplicity of prepaying for some of your meals and you're already staying at one of those hotels, you might look into that option. Now, things may be very different in Disney World, especially when it comes to food, but that's not always a bad thing. Many people love the Disney dining plan, and while bringing alcohol into Magic Kingdom was a big point of contention for many guests, it worked out well and provided guests with more options. Do you remember the pre-dining plan days, or when you couldn't get wine with your dinner at Tony's Town Square? Let us know in the comments. We certainly remember those days. So thanks for going down memory lane with us when it comes to Disney World food. We've been doing this for a long time. I started this blog in 2009, and of course I was a huge Disney food fan for a long time before that as well. So it's fun every once in a while to kind of walk down that path and see how many things have really, really changed in the past 20 years. Thank you guys for listening, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.